Good morning, children. I hope all of you are fine. Today, I'm going to start chapter 5, class 9 mathematics, that is Introduction to Euclid's Geometry. In the last class, I have completed chapter Coordinate Geometry, that was chapter 3. You were thinking that I directly jumped to chapter 5, there were chapter 4 also, but I already told you that those chapters I can teach you easily through online classes. I will select that chapters first, because some of the chapters, if I will teach you through online, maybe you will get problem to understand. That is why those chapters I can easily finish through online classes. I will explain that chapter first. Okay. So Introduction to Euclid's Geometry. Here in this chapter, I would like to request you that please read all the points or paragraphs, because it is not possible for me to read all the paragraphs, because you can understand easily if you read. If you go through the chapter 5, then you will understand. Some important points I will explain today. First of all, introduction. In the introduction, you will get to know what is geometry. Now, what is the meaning of geometry? Geo meaning the earth. Geo meaning what? Earth. And metron meaning is measure. And both of these Greek words, geo and metron, their meanings are geo meaning the earth and the metron meaning to measure. So that means geometry, the measure of the land. So this branch of mathematics was studied in various forms in every ancient civilization, be it in Egypt, Babylonia, China, India, Greece, and the Incas, etc. The people of this civilization faced several practical problems which required the development of geometry in various ways. Actually, in ancient days, you know some of the name of the place like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro. You have seen the movie Mohenjo-daro, that their buildings in that time, roads are some geometrical concept. You can see parallel roads, some building styles, styles of buildings are all geometrical concept. Means geometry has been used from that time. And today we get a developed geometry. So geometry is very, very important for us, because all the shapes, measuring are includes geometry. So I hope all of you understood. Especially Babylonians and Egyptians use geometry mostly for practical purpose. Okay. They were using that time geometrical concept in practical purpose and did very little to develop it as a systematic science. But in civilization like Greece, the emphasis was on the reasoning behind why certain construction work. The Greeks were interested in establishing the truth of the statements they discovered using deductive reasoning. A Greek mathematician, Thales, you can see the picture here, Thales is credited with giving the first known proof, and this proof was of the statement that a circle is bisected by its diameter. All of you know that the longest chord which passes through the center of a circle is called diameter. That means a diameter divides the circle in two equal parts. So one of Thales' most famous pupils was Pythagoras. All of you know Pythagoras because you have been using Pythagoras theorem from class 6 onwards. Okay. So whom you have heard about already, you have means about Pythagoras. Pythagoras and his group discovered many geometrical properties and developed the theory of geometry to a great extent. Okay. And this process continued till 300 BC. At that time, Euclid, a teacher of mathematics at Alexandria in Egypt, collected all the known work and arranged it in his famous treatise. Okay, he has collected all the known works. So now understood who is Euclid? Called Elements. He divided the elements into 13 chapters. Okay, and is called a book. And this book influenced the whole world understanding of geometry for generation to come. Understood? Means after collecting all the known concept, he has made a book called what? Elements. And there are how many chapters? 13 chapters. Divided the elements in this book into 13 chapters. And it's called a book. Try to understand. He divided the elements into 13 chapters and is called a book. And this book is influenced the whole world's understanding of geometry for generation to come. Clear? In this chapter, we shall discuss Euclid's approach to geometry and shall try to link it with the present day of geometry. Clear? So, Euclid's definitions, axiom and postulates. In this chapter, we learn especially these three important points. These are definitions, axiom and postulates. He began his exposing by listing 23 definitions in his book 1 of the elements. Okay, and few of them are given below like that. A point. So all of you know point, line. So now you will get little explanation of a point. Means what is a point? A point is that which is no part. If you want to give a point, if you want to try to find out part of that point, you will not get, because a point has no part. You can try. A line is breadthless length. Can you tell me how much breadth of a line? You cannot, because a line is a breadthless length. The ends of a line are points. If you draw a line, the end points and ends are what you can say? Points. A straight line is a line which lies evenly with the points on itself. If you draw a straight line, the straight line made by points, because points are evenly spread there. Next, a surface is that which has length and breadth only. You can take an example of a plane surface of a table. Then surface you can see length and breadth. The edges of a surface are what? Lines. A plane surface is a surface which lies evenly with the straight lines. In a plane surface, suppose I already told you, if you take example of a table, the plane surface, you can say the plane surface is what? Evenly with the straight lines. You'll get evenly in a plane surface. You'll get evenly the straight lines on itself. So I hope all of you understood these definitions. Starting with the definition. Okay, I want to say that maybe in this video you are not able to see the lines clearly, but it is given in the book. You can go through it. Understood? Just listen to me and try to understand. Starting with this definition, Euclid assumed certain properties which are not to be proved, and these assumptions are actually obvious universal truth. Try to understand which are not to be proved, but these are what? Obviously obvious universal truths. He divided them into two types. Okay, this definition is divided into two types. One is axiom and postulates, and he used the term postulate for the assumptions that were specific to geometry, related to geometry, and common notions often called axioms on the other hand were assumptions used throughout mathematics and not specifically linked to geometry. Those are not specifically linked to geometry, that are called what? Axioms. For details about axioms and postulates, refer to Appendix 1. You can see the Appendix 1. Or some of the axioms you can get here. Some of the Euclid's axioms not in his order are given below, because these are not in order, but some of them given here. So try to understand, okay? Things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. Suppose you are taking 3 books, number 1, number 2 and number 3, okay? Now if number 1 is equal to number 2 and number 3 also equal to number 2, then you can say that number 1 and number 3 is equal. Understood the example? So that is why things which are equal to the same thing are equal to one another. If equals are added to equals, the wholes are equal. Suppose x and y. Suppose x equal to y. Suppose I am taking x equal to y. If you add 2 with x and also if you add 2 with y, then x plus 2 is also equal to y plus 2. Suppose when you take x equal to y, that time x plus 2 is equal to y plus 2. Understood? If equals are subtracted from equal, this is similar with 2. If you subtract, then the remainders are equal. Things which coincide with one another are equal to one another. This is what write a replica means. I am to take example. Suppose you are having a class 9 mathematics book. If a book lies on the table, if another mathematics book class 9, if you place on the top of that class 9 books, class 9 mathematics book, then you can see both the books are coincide. That means they are equal. The whole is greater than the part. The whole is greater than the part. Yes, if you take an example of your body part, suppose your finger. Your one finger is a part of the body and body is whole. Then you can say that the body is the whole, then greater than the part is finger. Okay. Or you can take example like solar system, earth. We are living in the earth. So earth, living on the earth, yes or no? We are living on the earth. So if earth is a part of the solar system, then solar system is whole and whole is greater than the part. Things which are double of the same thing are equal to one another. Obviously, if 2 things are equal, suppose x is equal, you can take this example, x equal to y, then twice x is also equal to twice y. Things which are half of the same things are equal to one another. Yes, if double is equal, then half also equal. So understood all of you? In case if you doubt for these axioms, you can WhatsApp me. I will give you clear concept. Okay, so understood definition and axioms. Now Euclid's postulates. There are 5 postulates. Postulates 1, P1 I wrote. Postulate 1, a straight line may be drawn from any one point to any other point. I have drawn already, so I will draw once again, then you will understand. Suppose this is a point. If you start from this point to draw a straight line, then you can finish here. So a straight line may be drawn from one point to what? Another point. Understood? Next. These are very easy, okay? Just try to understand. Postulate 2, a terminated line can be produced indefinitely. Suppose I have drawn this one, I will draw once more, then you will understand. Suppose this is A, you are drawing a line, this is B. So you can extend this line like that from this end, and also you can extend from this one. Yes or no? This is straight, okay? I am not using scale, that's why it's looking bent. So you understood? Suppose AB, you can extend from this side, you can extend from this side. This is why a terminated line can be produced indefinitely. Okay? Next, a circle can be drawn with any center and any radius. Yes, you have drawn already in your previous classes how to draw a circle with radius. Suppose 5 centimeter, 6 centimeter means if you have the radius, then you can draw a circle. all right angles are equal to one another. So do you know what is the measurement of right angles? Yes. How much? 90 degree. Yes. If all right angles are 90 degree, then obviously all the right angles are equal to one another. Now postulate 5. If a straight line, try to understand, if a straight line falling on two straight lines, a straight line falling on two straight line makes the interior angles on the same side of it taken together less than two right angles, then the two straight lines, if produced indefinitely, meet on that side on which the sum of angle is less than two right angles. I have drawn already here. I will draw once more. See, suppose this is one straight line, this is also one straight line. Don't forget they are not parallel, okay? Because here they have said clearly straight line only, not parallel. So here this two straight line, I will make it easy for you. See, if one straight line falling on that two straight line, there are how many triangles? 1, 2, 3, 4. In which side? This is right side of this line and this is left side of this line. Which side, if you add these two interior angles, if you get less than two right angles, two right angle means 180 degree. That side, if you extend the lines, then they will intersect. And which side they are greater than 180, they will not intersect. Two right angle, then the two straight line, if they produce indefinitely, meet on that side on which the sum of the angles is less than two right angles. Means if this side the sum of the angles is two right angles, then they will intersect. Understood? So here especially I have learned the history of geometry, then about Euclides, then he has given some definitions, then you got two parts, that axioms and postulates. Postulates are connected with geometry and axioms are in means those things are not connected with geometry, those are, you can say, axioms. So axioms already I have explained, and postulate also maybe you understood. So in case any doubt or confusion, you can WhatsApp me, then I will clear. Okay. Today I have not given any homework because this is the conception of this chapter. In the next class I will start exercise 5.1 so that you will get some homework. Thank you so much. Have a nice day ahead.